Hello and welcome to Odds on Premier League Match Day 23. Tom, those goals scored by Darwin Núñez look like a title decider. They celebrated like a title.
Yeah, it was classic Darwin Núñez, right? Come on the field, score 2 goals, get yellow card for showing your sports bra, then don't get a second yellow card for a definite foul that could have been a straight red. It was a wild few minutes.
Well, the classic Núñez would be also missing those chances, to be honest. Man United is still in crisis. Man City is still losing, in this case, in the Champions League. So a lot to talk about with Tom, with you guys. Leave your comments. Tell us your thoughts about the Premier League. And now let's go on with the show. Great game to begin with. Probably at the beginning of the season we wouldn't say this, but Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest are doing a great season. We didn't see coming Bournemouth thrashing Newcastle in St. James's Park with 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐿 scoring a hat-trick. It's 10 games without a defeat, and Nottingham Forest keep winning and winning. This time against Southampton is 7 wins and 1 draw in the last 8 games. Two really informed teams, Tom, and the odds for Forest, I would have thought that the odds should be more equal.
Yeah, I was surprised by the odds, actually, and it leads me to pick Forest because I can't believe where they are. Look, Bournemouth are very, very good, right? They're a very, very good team. They showed that last week. They've shown it lots of times this season, and additional to how good they are and well coached they are and all of that, the amount of players missing. They went into last week, which is one of the reasons I went for Newcastle. Look, I don't feel bad about picking Newcastle last week. It was a shock result. But one of the reasons we did it was because Enes Ünal and Evanilson are both injured, both possible strikers. They've had no Smith and no Scott for long spells of this season. Sinisterra, who was important last season as an impact sub, he's been missing. Tavernier's been missing. 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐿 has been a regular centre-half starter. He's been missing. And yet, they go to Newcastle. 4, yeah, fine. Don't worry about it. Just an incredible result, incredible performance, and a well-deserved victory. And in this run of form, the victory over West Bromwich Albion in the FA Cup saw lots of goals, couple of goals against Chelsea. The Semenyo one is really special. And, of course, 4 last week. So they don't need strikers, it would seem. They're the Man City of 4 years ago. Forget a striker, we'll just win anyway. So that's fantastic. And they've been really good across the entire campaign in terms of winning home games as well and picking up big scalps at home. So lots to favour Bournemouth here. But with Nottingham Forest, it's a broadly similar run, as you mentioned. In all competitions, it's 1 draw in the last 5, 4 victories. They've beaten good opposition. They've beaten bad opposition. They've won at home. They've won away. They've won tough games. They've won at a canter. And they've also got that really impressive draw against Liverpool, the only time they dropped points in that run. So really, really impressed with everything that is happening at Forest right now. And you add on top of that the fact that no one's injured. It's the converse issue for Bournemouth. Forest are a bit like, well, we've got everybody. So maybe we'll give Ryan Yates a rest. Maybe we'll give Hudson-Odoi a rest. Maybe we'll rotate players. Beyond Chris Wood and the 2 centre-halves, I think everyone needs a bit of rotation at Forest. Those 3 I wouldn't drop under any circumstances. Probably Gibbs-White as well, make that 4. But as the outfield players, of course, Matt Sells is undroppable, how good he's been in goal. But they come into this game full of confidence. They come into it with a really good record of wins. And that's the difference, by the way, between these two teams. In terms of losses this season, Forest is 4, Bournemouth is 5. Incredible records for both. But Forest can turn draws into wins in a way that Bournemouth were unable to, certainly over the Christmas period. So 3.55 is wild for a Nottingham Forest win, considering how good they have been and how set up they are to win away from home. So take that as your top tip. Elsewhere, Nottingham Forest, I've not got the number in front of me, but I think it's 17 times they've scored the opening goal in their 22 games this season. Might be 18 now, but certainly 17 times it's happened. So Forest to score the opening goal and then go on to win is the second tip I would take here. And third, because it happens so often, your group bet is covered with Forest doing that. 1-0, 2-0, or 2-1 to Nottingham Forest. Cover the spread, double your money, take Nottingham Forest.
Okay, draw an under for 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐿. Both teams to score an over in this case. Forest draw, no bet. Very tough game, but the odds for backing Nottingham Forest, Nuno Espiritu Santos team are really good. These odds, so perhaps you should take a look at those. Next game is Brighton. Everton, David Moyes already getting some results, beating Spurs 3-2. So now they are 4 points away from the bottom three. Brighton, they are in the middle of the table, although closer to the European spots thanks to the great win at Old Trafford, as Tom Rennie said, away from home, 3 consecutive wins. But at home, they've been a little bit poor this season.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think if they were better at home, a bit like Bournemouth's issue, they could convert draws into victories. They'd be doing the Nottingham Forest season. They'd be up there challenging for the Premier League title and Champions League. And look, they might still get there, Brighton. The big boost for them, I think, last week and the previous weekend is that Danny Welbeck is back, who's been fantastic when he's been fit this season. He's scoring goals, creating chances, works well with 𝐬𝐵𝗵𝐿. And last week against Man United, they just did the thing that, you know, Ruben Amorim at United's overcomplicating things. Fabian Hetzel last week made things very, very simple. 4-4-2. Wingers go to the end line. Fullbacks overlap. Central midfielders get up and down. 2 strikers working in tandem. All the stuff that 90s kids saw every single week from every single team in every single league. That sort of in 2001 disappeared off the face of the earth and no one does it anymore. But that's how they set up last week. I don't know if they'll do it again this week, but I would recommend it considering the success they had against Manchester United last week. Picking up some really good scalps, scoring lots of goals in terrific form. If they could turn around that home form and stop drawing games, still a great chance of Brighton qualifying for European football next season. In terms of Everton, look, it was a classic Moyes performance in many ways last week. Race into a 3-0 lead, try and shut it down, nearly failed to do so, and Tottenham nearly got something from it. Did that a lot during his time at West Ham, did David Moyes. But I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin looks a man released. It was evident that the relationship maybe between he and Sean Dyche wasn't great, or maybe Dyche and his team just didn't know what to say to Calvert-Lewin anymore. His confidence on the floor. David Moyes has come in, clearly giving Calvert-Lewin a big boost. That solo goal he scored last week, just perfect striker play. And that has been the difference with Everton being a relegation candidate and being someone who can be comfortably safe in the Premier League this season. Scoring goals. 18 goals scored is nowhere near good enough for any Premier League team. You've got to average at least 1 goal a game, 1.5 if you can. If you do that with a decent defensive record, you're safely in mid-table. If they do that for the rest of the season, they will be safely in mid-table. I have my doubts here, frankly. I think there's going to be too much movement with Brighton. I think there's going to be too much rotation. And I think that they are still quite a slow team. Everton as well. Brighton quite a fast team. Ashley Young doesn't move around very much. Midfield, not a great new manager bounce. See it happening this week. So take the Brighton win, first and foremost, at 1-7-2. I would fancy Everton for a goal here. I think most Brighton games tend to be both teams to score. In the Premier League, 3 of the last 4 have been both teams to score. Look at their record overall this season, 35 scored and 30 conceded in 22. That's broadly 1.5 in every single game, scored and conceded. So expect goals at both ends. Brighton winning both teams to score. And then both Brighton strikers I like. Pick Welbeck or 𝐬𝐵𝗵𝗄 to score. I'll take 𝐬𝐵𝗵𝗄 with the goal-scoring form he has been in. Pedro to score, Brighton to win. 3 nice tips there for the Seagulls to pick up all 3 points.
Okay, Dominic Calvert-Lewin over 1.5 goals. That's
wild.
That's wild indeed. The odds are also wild, but it's very difficult. Everton double chance for 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝗵𝐿 in this game. Next one, no-brainer here. Very difficult to find value. Liverpool Ipswich. Liverpool also winning in the Champions League, but very important. Those 2 goals scored in the last minutes of the game against Brentford. It looked like a title decider, and especially with Arsenal dropping points against Aston Villa. So now they are 6 points clear with 1 game in hand. I guess, Tom, there is no way to get some good money from this game.
I mean, the only way to make money is to go handicap, right? And my only concern about that is that despite Liverpool's 15 victories and 50 goals scored in the Premier League, incredible number, they haven't really been battering teams in recent times. If you look in the Champions League, 2-1 against Lille, 2-0 against Brentford, as we mentioned earlier, they had to leave it late to do that. 1 against Forest, lost against Tottenham in the Cup. So look, they can batter teams and have battered teams, but it hasn't happened as much over the last 5 or 6 weeks or so. So that's my only caveat here. But Ipswich Town, 43 goals conceded, 6-0 against Man City last week, 2-0 against Brighton before that. 2 conceded against Fulham, I think, the previous game before that. They concede lots of goals. They're not a Premier League squad. I don't want to waste too much time on Brighton here because my analysis is the same every single week. Let's talk about Liverpool. Depends on how much rotation there is from midweek. For obvious reasons, the team against Lille, I thought might be a second string, but it wasn't. It was pretty strong. It had all the names I'd expect to see in this game playing in midweek. Ryan Gravenberch, Dominic Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, Mo Salah. So very strong team. I think Slot will go again here. And then potentially, because of the Champions League victory, play a second string in the Champions League next week. So Liverpool win, obviously 1.12. Take that. Best handicap is minus 3.5. That's 4-0 or more. Minus 2.5 wasn't even W money. So the first W money handicap was minus 3.5. Take that. As ever, look at Mo Salah to score and Liverpool to win. It's under 2-1 again, but you got to try and find some value here. The only thing I can find that I liked here that brought us in around about 8 was Liverpool win from behind. Not because of anything Ipswich do, but mainly I can't find value unless you start looking at 4-0s and picking out 2 scorers. And look, at that point, you're on your own, right? It's essentially your gut at that point. The form suggests Nunez and Salah and lots of people can score. So how many times have you seen it? Multiple times, win from behind, concede the first goal. 7 or 8 times in the league this season, it's happened. They keep on doing it, Liverpool, for years and years and years. Ipswich to score first and Liverpool to win comfortably. Liverpool win from behind is my punt bet of the week.
Well, actually, some people are telling us both things to score, for instance, to find some value, or Asian handicap +2 for Ipswich, since Liverpool are involved in so many competitions. They play again Champions League the following week, so they will rest some players. And Liverpool to win in 30 minutes is another option for 𝐿𝐿𝐴𝐷𝐿. Perhaps we shouldn't expect really flashy results given the fact that there are so many games in this moment of the season, and Liverpool also need to rest some players. Well, let's try to find better odds. Not the next game, probably. Is Southampton Newcastle. Newcastle to win is 1.45, because we should always bet against Southampton, as we know only one win this season. So I guess, Tom, after the defeat against Bournemouth, it's time for Newcastle to bounce back.
Yeah, I think so. I was shocked by that, I've got to say. I remain shocked by that. Bournemouth were very, very good. The 𝐿𝐴𝐷𝐿 goals are brilliantly taken and perfectly timed, but I was still shocked considering the run that the Newcastle had been on. I mean, look, briefly on Southampton, has there been some signs of life in the last couple of games? Yeah, there has actually. They were brilliant at times against Man United in the game they should not have lost. They staged a valiant comeback against Nottingham Forest last week. Paul 𝐿𝐿𝐴𝐷𝐿 scored, the 6'7", 2 meter tall giant striker. Head like a 50p piece, but if you can get someone like that scoring goals for you, you've got a chance. But they've left it way, way, way too late. 18 defeats, 15 scored, 6 points. They're going to be down by mid-March, I think it'll be, when they get relegated, and it'll be pitiful. But look, they have shown some signs of life over the last couple of weeks, so it might not be the worst Premier League season ever, which is literally the only thing now Southampton can aim for. In terms of Newcastle, last week was a surprise for lots of reasons, mainly because I thought it was near enough their strongest team as well. Beyond 𝗵𝗵𝗀 and Fabian Schär, that's about the best Newcastle I think there is. I know people will say, Barnes should be in for Murphy if they're all fit, but Jacob Murphy's been outstanding this season, so I'm not sure I would do that. Alexander Isak is the clear best striker in the league at this moment in time. So I was surprised by it. I would write that off currently as a blip and one of those things, and Bournemouth scored some great goals, and I expect them to return to form here. So look, take the Newcastle win. Obviously, I don't need to belabor the point that I think Southampton are very poor and Newcastle are very good. I think after last week, a full week of training sees them going back to scoring plenty of goals, 3 against Wolves, 3 in the Cup, 2 against Arsenal, 2 against Tottenham. I expect Newcastle to score 3 or more goals in this game. So forget the scoreline, forget the handicap. Take Newcastle 3 goals or more. That brings you in near double your money. And in terms of individuals, I've done this every single week, and it came in for 8 weeks, but not last week, but it is going to do it this. Isak is fit, so Isak to score and Newcastle to win. Do that most weeks, and it's going to be under double, but it's going to be worth a little punt with with maybe the 3 goals as well. Combine those bets and you'll make some money there.
Well, this is the exact tip from our friend 𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐿 from Miami, saying Newcastle to win and Isak to score. Newcastle to win is super good.
Watching this?
𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐿 is watching this.
Hey,
His
Leo.
English is getting better.
Yes.
His English is good now. Hello, Leo. And throw us some money if you want to put some sponsorships or you like our tips. You can have our PayPal account, bank account, no problem. And don't complicate this one. Straight Newcastle win or -1 for Newcastle. Next one is Wolves Arsenal. Wolves still with the same points as the relegation since they lost to Chelsea. So it's 3 consecutive defeats, conceding 3 goals in each game. And after Arsenal, they have Aston Villa and Liverpool. So very tough schedule for the Wolves. And Arsenal also time to bounce back after the disappointing draw against Aston Villa. Still, I guess, complaining about the referee with that handball. In my opinion, was a handball, to be honest. But at least they had a pleasant and easy game in the Champions League in midweek.
I mean, of course it was handball. I know that the world is now online conspiracy central, but I'm sorry, it was clearly handball. It had to be disallowed. No one had a choice. Multiple cameras prove it's handball, but whatever. Look, on Wolverhampton Wanderers, I'm not sure that Vitor Pereira was a good hire. I know they had that nice little burst of victories that may well see them safe, but already falling out with 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐿 𝐶𝐞𝐿. Some of the comments after the previous game against Chelsea on Monday were bizarre. Criticizing 𝐿𝐭𝐿's performance and attitude. Without 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐿 𝐶𝐞𝐿, Wolves will not stay in the Premier League. It's even ramped up speculation this week that he might leave in this transfer window. Talk of Nottingham Forest putting in a big bid. Maybe teams more regularly and consistently in the Champions League putting in a bid for him as well. So that's odd. No 𝐿𝐭𝐿, no chance of staying in the league. So a really odd thing to have done. Defensively, they have signed someone at the back, but I don't think they've got better. Obviously, conceding 6 goals since he made debut at centre-half for Wolves. So that would concern me for Wolverhampton Wanderers. They spent money on 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐿. And then Doherty's in the back 3. That's been their issue all season. They concede too many goals. 51 goals conceded is no good. 32 scores, pretty respectable, to be fair. But it's defence that's let Wolves down all season long. And Vitor Pereira seems to have no ability's too strong, but he can't close those gaps. He can't fix those problems. And so they're going to try and swing their way to victory. And that might happen in 5 or 6 games to get them safe, but it ain't going to happen here. Look, Arsenal have had a rough run of fixtures, a really tricky run of fixtures. And to do it without Saka and Jesus and Saliba's probably still missing for this one as well. Ben White, Ranieri's been missing. To get through this run of games, not losing against Aston Villa, which they could have done, beating Tottenham in a close game, still being in the Carabao Cup despite the first leg loss. They're not totally out of that game as yet. Second leg to come, I think, in 2 weeks' time. Beyond the Man United game, nothing has been a disaster for Newcastle, for Arsenal, but beyond that Newcastle game. So, look, I think that's commendable. I wonder if this game might see some heavy rotation. I just think there's players that they've been trying to get Rice out, then Partey's been out, then Marino's been in, carrying a lot of water at the moment, Mikel Merino. There's a few other players that could do with a bit of a break, I think. So I wonder whether people like Jorginho get a start, and they just try and really navigate their way through this game tight. That's my only concern about Arsenal. Otherwise, I would go for a significant win here. Even though Arsenal's 43 goals scored this season, it's good. It's not, again, a tighter winning amount of goals. 50 plus is where Liverpool are. That's the barometer you need to hit. And they're 8 or 7 behind Liverpool. That's why they are where they are. So, look, Liverpool are going to win this weekend. Arsenal are going to win this weekend. Arsenal win at 1.4. Absolutely take that. Came in for us last week, the 8 corners. Go for it again. Arsenal to win 8 corners is 2.5. Go more extravagant if you want, but Arsenal play for corners, as you know. Gabriel right now continues to be the big threat. They will score at least 1 corner this weekend. They do it every weekend. It's so annoying. Gabriel to score anytime for Arsenal is one of the safest bets you're going to get when it comes to Arsenal this season. They ain't got no strikers, so bet on the centre-half. But Arsenal win with 8 or more corners.
Well, for the corner markets, 𝐿𝐿𝐴 is going for over 8 corners for Arsenal or Asian handicap. 𝐿𝐴 𝐵𝐵𝐿 -4.5 for Arsenal to take 5 corners more than Wolves,
Yeah.
and Havertz to score 2 goals. I would never bet on Havertz to score goals, to be honest, because I
Wow,
can
man.
get mad at him. Well, Arsenal Man City we have next week, and another tough game. This one for Man City is a difficult run of fixtures, and they started in the worst way possible in the Parc des Princes. This game is Man City Chelsea, as we know. They lost yesterday in Paris on Wednesday in the Parc des Princes. Despite taking the lead, they were overplayed by PSG and they crumbled. The defense is so weak, so many times dispossessed in their own half, and now their games are very important this week because Chelsea, they play Bruges, a crucial game in the Champions League, and Arsenal, and they are not in the best position in the season, Tom, and now Chelsea got some confidence bouncing back with the win against Wolverhampton. You know when was the last time Chelsea beat Man City, by the way?
Oh, tell me.
In the Champions League final.
Last time. Wow.
Last time, 2021.
And they enjoyed it so much, they immediately dismantled that entire team. So that was good. That was a good idea,
look
Chelsea.
at this. Look at this. Last time was the Champions League final.
Wow. I would not have missed that. Well, there you go.
This is why I get my salary from 𝐬𝐿𝐴, you know?
Yeah, cheap at double the price. Look, this is a really tricky game, a really tricky game. The PSG, you know the PSG game when you watch a game and you can't believe something's happening? Like, I genuinely was watching it like this. Like, couldn't, when the fourth was given after the check, I was just like, because I thought they were over it. I think we all sort of thought they were over it. Look, the Ipswich game went as we predicted. Ipswich aren't great. Fine. The Brentford game, bit of a crumble, but it's a tough place to go. Fine. 8 against Salford, who cares? The win against West Ham, didn't play great, sure, but got the win. All of that. And you think, okay, nudging their way through, getting back to where they once were, getting ready for the second half of the season, sort of blitz that they always do. And then midweek happened. And you just think, wow, they're making these signings. They're not buying a defensive midfielder. And the issue is that position, obviously, because Rodri has been missing. They have not been able to fill that gap. Rodri was doing the work of 3 players for Manchester City. There is no one who maybe could deputise. And so maybe you've got to change the way you play. The 4-1-4-1 formation is, it's fine, but sometimes it looks like a bit of a blob, really. Nunez defensively gets caught out a lot. Akanji and Diaz, not great when you've got to sit deep. Guardiola's more of a winger than a defender. Ederson don't make many saves. That's where the issues are, defensive. And Guardiola doesn't want to fix that problem or can't fix that problem. I know they started spending money again, and we'll see what the new signings bring in the next few weeks. But I wouldn't say anyone they're bringing in is going to be able to change this around immediately. So it's going to be a big concern for Manchester City. But scoring goals again, I think, is maybe the big thing. The big thing to take away from the last 5 games. They've scored at least 2 goals in each of them. And I think that will be some sort of salve for Guardiola and Man City. They're 5th. They're in the Champions League battle with the way the coefficient looks like it's going to be. England will probably get the 5 this year. Well, unless City go out, which I still don't think they will next week, but we'll see how that plays out. Currently out of the Champions League top 24, and so not going to make it currently. But look, in the league and overall, they're scoring goals, so you've got to back them to score a couple of goals in this game. In terms of Chelsea, they were impressive second half against Wolves. Not just winning the game, they were very, very impressive. There was an intensity about them. There was a creativity about them that has been lacking. I think bringing 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝐴 back was a positive move. They've tried to bomb 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝐴 out of Chelsea for the best part of a year. He couldn't be sold in the summer. The fans didn't want it. He's been okay at Palace this season. And he came back and made them a more solid defense against Wolves on Monday. Do I think he's a world beater, Thiago Silva player? No. But is he better than 𝗛𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗏𝗏 and everyone else they've had at centre-half this season? Yeah. And that is going to improve Chelsea having a popular and competent centre-half in their team, which they had on Monday. And no defeats in their last 4 in all competitions as well. They've scored in all of those games. They've scored in every game since the heavy rotation and defeat against Ipswich Town. I think Enzo Maresca has shown the last couple of seasons he struggled over the Christmas period. We're out of that now, and I expect Chelsea to return to the form they had before Christmas. In this game, Time to pick a winner. Love the draw at 4.27. Wouldn't say it screams it, but I certainly think both teams will score. Draw at 4.27. You can also spread your draws because if you think both teams will score, which I do, 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, brings you over 5. Really like that. Again, both teams score, which means you've got to pick a winner. I would take Man City on both teams to score. I mentioned the goal-scoring prowess of both teams. 3-2-5-1 in terms of the last 4 games for Chelsea. 2-6-2-8 in the last 4 games for Man City. So I expect both teams to score. City do that and it doubles your money. And then pick out 2 goal scorers for Chelsea. I do it every week. It comes in most weeks. Palmer score anytime for City. Haaland score anytime. Combine that with a Victor and again, double your money.
Yeah, Cole Palmer to score for Mom's Spaghetti and taking the revenge from Guardiola over 1.5 goals on the second half. Chelsea Asian handicap -1, 5.5. That's really daring. Well, 4 games on Sunday. Crystal Palace, Brentford, 2 teams that are in the middle of the table. They won't play in Europe. They won't have any difficulty to stay also in the Premier League. Palace in better shape, 3 wins and 2 draws in the last 5 games. Brentford is only 1 win lately. What are your thoughts?
Well, I thought Palace were really good last week against West Ham. I thought the game would be a draw and Palace nicked it because they've got 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗏 Mateta and West Ham don't. But I think you saw last week and you saw against Leicester and you saw against Chelsea the defensive solidity built on Marc Guéhi and 𝗀𝗏 and the goalkeeper and covering defensive midfield has given the front 3 of Ismaila Sarr, 𝗵𝗿𝗄 Eze and 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗏 Mateta a release almost to just go and score goals, get the job done. So West Ham defended abominably last week, but 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗏 Mateta had to take advantage and did with the only goal from open play. Then the late penalty doesn't really mean too much. The goal that Mateta scored just after half-time was the key moment. But look, a lot of time for Palace right now, finding ways to grind out victories. 6 wins now across the Premier League season, 3 in the Premier League in their last 4. No chance of relegation now on 27 points. I'd be surprised if Ipswich got to 27 points. They're the 3rd team currently in the bottom 3. Wouldn't back Wolves to get there either. So I think Palace are all but safe now. If they lost every single game for the rest of this season, I'd still feel confident 27 might well get them there. So look, lots to like about Palace at this particular moment. In terms of Brentford, I think what happened is the games got tougher at home. You know, the first half of the season, they had a lot of the bottom half at home and picked up some really good wins. They've got goal scorers in 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗏 and 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. But now the fixtures have got harder. So away from home, they've got an easier run of sorts, but you still got to go away from home and win. And at home, it's now Liverpool, City and Arsenal they've been facing, and they've lost all but one of those games. So that's my concern about Brentford. And I also think that they have struggled heavily with defensive injuries this season. Still no 𝐼𝐴 at centre-half. Still no Ethan Pinnock at centre-half, I don't think, for this weekend. Don't have a great deal of cover, which means 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Yarnell or other players have got to cover. And they're valiant guys, people you want in the trenches with you and all that. But you want your specialist centre-halves. I think Ethan Pinnock is crucial to what Brentford do. He takes the long throws for them as well. So, look, in this particular game, I'd take the Crystal Palace win on the form they are in. You've got to see that through. They've been winning games well. So Crystal Palace win is 2.15. Take that. Crystal Palace win without conceding. They have been defensively very strong in the last couple of weeks. 2 straight 2-0 victories. Wouldn't be surprised to see that again. And those games were also Mateta scores and Palace win. So for the last 2 Palace games, I think it will happen a 3rd time in a row. They win without conceding, and Mateta scores.
Well, Brentford is trash away, so Palace to win. Indeed, only 5 points this season. You said complete true. Only 1 win and 5 points. Talking about trash, let's go to Tottenham, Leicester City. Trash teams right now. Don't get offended if you are a supporter of these teams, of course. All due respect, but they are kind of trash right now. See, Leicester City keep losing and losing. Ruud van Nistelrooy is still on the job, but 7 consecutive defeats in the Champions League for Spurs is only 1 point in the last 6 games, I guess. They are focused in the Cups, and now they have Europa League, Tom, but this is a must win if they want to get some distance with the bottom 3.
Huge game for Tottenham Hotspur. Huge game. Look, they're not getting relegated. 24 points is low, but across what is left, do I think they can win 4 more games? Yeah, I do think that. And that would be more than enough to get them safety in the Premier League this season. 24 brings you to 36 with 4 wins. 36 has got you there every season since 2003 or something like that. So look, Spurs are going to be safe. It's been an interesting story and a real narrative of this season, and they don't play for draw and they don't grind out points, but they will be safe. Still, the injury list ridiculous. Johnson, Romero, Udogie, Solanke, Forster, Vicario, Van der Ven, Sarr, Bentancur, Werner, 𝗲𝗲𝗿𝗲𝗀, Bissouma. I mean, it's crazy, right? As much as it's fun to put the boot into 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝗲𝐻 because he's so rude to reporters and all of that, nobody could cope with this, right? Nobody could cope with this amount of injuries and absentees. Could they have fixed it in the transfer market? Yeah, maybe, but they haven't. They've got a big wage bill, Spurs, of players. So you've got to sell before you can buy up more often than not if you're a Premier League side at this point. Plus, you know, could he be more pragmatic in some of these games? Maybe he could have done, but does it get you more points? I don't know with the amount of injuries they've got. He's gone a certain way. It's not working out, but they will stay in the league. And if they get out of the Europa League group, which I still think they will when everyone gets back in March, I think the second or the last third of this season will be good for Tottenham. But it's a dark moment. There's no doubt about that. In terms of Leicester, look, I've railed against the appointment of Ruud van Nistelrooy before, so I won't bother doing that again at great length here. It is an unbelievably tough job he walked into. There's a reason why people like David Moyes and Sam Allardyce keep coming around and around again to clubs at this moment in time, because it's very, very hard to turn around a sinking ship. They were a sinking ship. They remain a sinking ship. Jamie Vardy is 38, looks 38. 𝐿 and Mavididi and 𝐸𝐿 are good championship players, but all of it is a championship squad, and they're going to go back down to the championship. And I think it almost feels like the walls are closing in on Leicester, as they have been for Southampton for quite some time. Got to win a game like this if they're going to stay up. It's not just about expected points now for Leicester. It's about unexpected points. I certainly wouldn't expect them to do it here. Take the Tottenham win at 1.5. I quite fancy him to do it. What I fancy here, though, are goals at both ends. Look at the minus 3.5 in terms of goals in this game. I think at least 4 goals, maybe more in this match. I expect both teams to score. I expect Tottenham to win and both teams to score at 2.4. And then start looking at your handicap markets in terms of the entirety of the game. I wouldn't be wildly confident on Tottenham. If you are, go big here. Go for a minus 3.5 Tottenham. Because if they win, they tend to win big, right? Bigly. So look at them at minus 3.5, 4 or 5, maybe even 6-0, 6-1, 6-2. I think this might be a ludicrous game. But Tottenham win it with lots of goals scored.
Spurs to win and both teams to score. Maddison or 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝗲𝗀𝗃 to score or assist. Maddison is also an X. Tottenham due a win. Well, they are due a win, but they've been terrible in this moment of time. Next game, Aston Villa, West Ham. Tough game for Aston Villa between the Champions League games, and they lost to Monaco in midweek in the Champions League, in the Premier League, doing great and really close to the European spots. Great goal by Watkins. Martinez also shining against Arsenal. So it's 8 points in the last 12 for West Ham. Tom, is the first defeat for Potter. 3 defeats in 4 games for West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, on Aston Villa, they have struggled after Champions League this season. That's been an ongoing narrative. I think that of all the teams that have struggled in the Premier League because of the extra 2 rounds, Villa might be the one that struggles the most because the squad is not particularly deep. John Duran has kind of faded a little bit in terms of scoring goals from the bench. Injury to Onana, you saw it last week. Losing Onana in that game, even though I think 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 did really well. He was their best player on the field, I thought, Onana, at the time he went. And so, look, that's going to be an issue to cover that. No Barkley and no McGinn as well, so central midfield might be a problem. But they showed last week can score a goal anytime. Ollie Watkins scoring goals again. Youri Tielemans looks fit and in shape. I thought Cash and Digne struggled defensively last week, but offensively looked good. And I think if Pau Torres is back here for Villa as well, I'd feel reasonably comfortable they can win this game against the West Ham team who, look, last week, I think Graham Potter did a great job against Fulham to get West Ham through that game. But he did a bad job against Crystal Palace last week. The way he set them up was very, very poor. 3 at the back with Crespo in it. I mean, that's going back like 8 years in terms of West Ham tactics. I wouldn't recommend doing that again. But this weekend. He doesn't have 𝗛𝗲𝗿𝗲, who's been a disastrous signing for West Ham, truly awful. Doesn't have 𝐿𝐵𝗲𝗵𝗄, who got himself sent off last week. Look, 𝐿𝐵𝗲𝗄 is diabolically bad. One of the worst defenders I've ever seen West Ham have, and that is a rogues gallery of nonsense. And he's just truly appalling. Judgment of a child. But him getting sent off means there's no one who can play there. So maybe 𝗵𝐵𝗲𝗃 goes centre-half, which he can do. Probably what I would do if he goes through it at the back. I don't know. But, you know, West Ham's issue is defence, and it has been all season. They went all-out defence last week and still conceded a couple of goals against Palace. The hope is that 𝐸𝐸𝐵𝐿 will be back, and if he is, they can put out a front three. If they do a front three of Paqueta, Kudus, and 𝐸𝐸𝐵𝐿, and that worked at points against Villa in the cup game. Though, of course, they had Füllkrug there at the time they scored a goal, and there's no central striker, and West Ham have got another week without signing a striker. Antonio got injured in early December, and they haven't got a striker in at the end of January. They'll struggle this season to get through it unless they bring a forward in, and for whatever reason, they ain't doing it. So, yeah, look, I think I would take away the FA Cup game and the 2 games against City and Liverpool. West Ham are not in the position to compete in games like that. But I do think against Fulham and against Bournemouth and against Brighton and against Palace, they showed they can at least go toe-to-toe with these teams and grind out a draw. So there's a possibility West Ham get a draw here. That's the very best I can say for them. Without Bowen and buying a striker and getting a centre-half in, they'll stay safe, West Ham. But 10 points behind Villa feels about right. Villa win at 1.6. Absolutely, take that. I think it'll be a narrow victory. I don't think West Ham will take the tonkings they were taking under 𝗵𝐿opetegui. 1-0, 2-0, or 2-1. We'll cover the spread there. I actually think broadly similar to the FA Cup game. I think Villa will score 2 goals, and that'll be enough. Villa to just score 2 goals and forget the scoreline brings you in at just under double your money. So I would take that. But a narrow Villa win here.
And the last game, we have drama. Why? Because Man United are playing, and this means suffering if you are a Red Devil. Great game, this one in 𝐿𝐵𝗲𝗄 Cottage. Fulham, Man United, another defeat at home against Brighton. Oh my God, it's impossible to trust this Man United. You mentioned the good odds to back Brighton in that game. 2.3 are the odds if you are backing Fulham. The good news, Tom, for Man United fans is that they got rid of Anthony, which is great. A lot of jokes now in Spanish social media coming to Betis for this game. Would you take these odds for Fulham to win?
Yeah, absolutely. I would take them. I'm sort of surprised at just how much Fulham are favourites. And I thought when I looked at this morning, we might get a cheeky little big win here, a double your money Fulham straight up win. But, you know, the bookies have now realised that it's good to bet against Manchester United because they are just so incredibly bad by their own standards. They're a good mid-table team. Like if this was West Ham or Palace, you'd be like, yeah, okay, sort of tough to beat, could nick a win. But it's not Palace, right? It's Man United. And so we expect a little bit more for the money spent. Look, in terms of Fulham, very good team, very well coached, strong defensively, a lot of good midfield cover, and Raúl Jiménez and Rodrigo Muniz. They've got players who can score, Alex Iwobi, and they've got one of the low-key best players in the Premier League this season. So I love a lot of things about Fulham, and I think that they will be pretty strong here. And the 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 midfield as well has a solidity to it that maybe they've been lacking this season when they've tried Iwobi deeper, Pereira deeper, what Tom Kenny's played, or Harrison Reed or whatever. So, look, the base is good. The setup is good. I think there's every chance they go on to win this game. Beat Leicester, beat Watford, should have beaten Ipswich, struggled that day, should have beaten Bournemouth, got caught there, should have beat West Ham, frankly, and they shot themselves in the foot. So if they can convert the chances they create, if they can not make silly errors, I think they can get a quite comfortable victory here, Fulham. And if you look at their form as well, 12 goals scored, I think, in 5 matches, all competitions. One of them was against Watford, sure. But shown that they create lots of chances. If they convert what they create, they will go on to win. In terms of Man United, abysmal against Southampton, got the victory. Abysmal against Brighton, failed to win. Amorim is not going to be pragmatic and go 5-4-1 and see out this season. He's not going to do it. 26 points. Look, again, they're not going to get relegated, Manchester United. They will get 4 or 5 more wins across the season before 38 are up across the next 16. You might say the standards are higher. I don't think they are at the moment, frankly. I think they are just getting through this season. There'll be a huge fire sale in the summer. They'll try and buy Amorim-style players in the summer, and they'll do this formation, but better next campaign. There's a few players it's worked for. Ahmad, Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire. There's several it hasn't worked for. Garnacho, Potentially Ugarte, I think, has struggled. 𝗛𝗲𝗿𝗲 at times has struggled. Lisandro Martinez looks bad in a 3. I'm surprised by that. I thought it would look better, but he looks worse. And of course, Onana, it doesn't matter what the formation is if you keep throwing the ball in your own net. So can't back Man United here. Take the Fulham win at 2.35. Look at the defensive record currently of Man United as well. 2 conceded against Liverpool, 3 against Brighton, 1 against Southampton, 1 against Arsenal, 2 against Newcastle. I'd fancy Fulham for a couple of goals here. So Fulham to score at least 2 goals, regardless of scoreline, doubles your money. Love that. Might even look at the group bet of the 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. If you like Man United, the only thing I'd pick out here is Bruno Fernandes, who has really excelled during his time under Amorim. Him and Ahmad, pick one of those to score any time. You'll make a little bit of money there. But I think the Man United market is worth avoiding this week. Take the Fulham win.
Yeah, great value, as also our friend Con is saying, and Jimenez to score 3.1. The other Jimenez scored yesterday a beauty, by the way, with Feyenoord, with the G against Bayern Munich. Well, guys, as always, remember that you can post your tips in Oddspedia in our website and win some cash prizes. We have tipster competitions going on, including a Premier League 1, as you can see. Right now, who is first? A guy from the United Kingdom, Joey. And then a Portuguese guy, again, and then Uganda. There you go. You can participate and also on Rivals and create your own custom competition with your friends. There you go. Tom, where are you? Your safe bet?
Did you lose me for a second there? Here I am. Yeah. Look, the safe bet is Liverpool to win. The odds aren't particularly good at 1.12, but throw it into a wider ACCA and you'll make some money. If you feel really confident, look at the handicap market, but it will be safe. Liverpool are going to win this weekend.
I like your pullover, by the way. Very stylish. Good
Thank you. I'm still waiting for my Oddspedia polo. Whenever you're ready. It's been a couple of years now. We could wear matching shirts for these.
Speak with the boss. Speak with the boss.
You're the man with the power, mate. I'm just the talent. You're the host, you know? I'm just a guest around here. Use your power. Get it sent.
Are you telling me I have no talent? Okay, thank you. And the ACCA, Tom?
The ACCA is 3 teams this week. Relatively low odds, but 3 big favourites. Arsenal to win, Tottenham to win, Brighton to win. Brings you at 3.27. Not bad.
Okay, thanks everyone. Of course, thank you, Tom. See you next week. Bye-bye.